Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and it is stupid buggy out here, but I've been cooped up in the house for way too long on those stupid antibiotics that I was on. I'm finally off of them. I'm able to be out here again, and I brought with me today the Benchmade Leuku. I've got it on my hip, and I wanted to do a little bit more. I've tested this knife thoroughly, but maybe just some kind of demonstration, because this might be my favorite new belt knife. I keep my BGM fixed blade, the pike, on my shoulder strap of my pack while I'm hiking, and I love that. But there are times when I'm camping or on a light hike when I just don't even bring a pack, where I just have a belt knife on me. And I used this sufficiently on my camping trip with my buddy Preston a couple of weeks ago, and I'm loving this knife. I got it from River's Edge Cutlery, and as always, they are phenomenal to deal with. This was no exception, and I love those guys over there. So I'll link to it on their site down below. But this is going to be my full review, and before I jump into that, I figured I'd just kind of show a little bit of its prowess. It's CPM 3V blade steel. I know Benchmade has had some issues with their 3V in the past. I get no sense of that here. I've been rough on this knife. I've done a lot of batoning with it, prepped all of my campfires, my whole camping trip with this knife and an axe, and it's been excellent for me. So I'm going to show a little bit of it chopping here, and just kind of show what it's made of. This stuff is all dead and old. I've actually done chop tests on it before. You can see there's like some gouges on here and stuff. So I'll do a little bit here, and then we may move around a little bit, and then I'll find a spot to sit and talk about the knife some more. But let's roll in and start chopping some stuff for fun. So I'm getting pretty deep into this hard, dead wood here with the tip and just prying. And it is doing nothing to the tip as I'm taking off these big chunks of this hard, dead wood. So, yeah, this 3V is no joke, man. Literally zero edge deformation. Show that to you. It's dirty, but it's just, can't feel any rolls, any chips. It's just taken everything. Let me see if I can find a piece to baton for you. So I'm gonna move you real quick. All right, I don't even know how this is gonna go, but I just found this, which is a serious piece of, I don't know what kind of wood. It's kind of dry rotted on the ends. I don't know how it'll be in the center, but it seemed like the right kind of demonstration piece. So we're just gonna give it a shot here. So, this is some nasty, gnarly stuff, as you can see. And this is a pretty thick piece of it in comparison to the blade of the knife. And it went through with relative ease. This one feels a little more sturdy, like less dry rotted out. So I might try real quick on this, see how this one splits. That was a bad start. Hold on. Yep. So, let me show this to you. Get that to focus. Again, dirty, but as I wipe down the edge itself, there's just no deformation. And these are just a couple of logs, right? You shouldn't see any deformation yet on this knife with what I just did. But like I said, I used this my entire camping trip. And we even bought a couple of bundles of hardwood. We were in the redwoods, so we couldn't scavenge wood. That's not something you're supposed to do up there. But we bought some bundles of hardwood, and then my buddy brought a bunch of wood from home, some of which was hardwood, and I was batoning the whole trip. We had roaring fires every night for hours and hours and hours. So it was like the main hangout thing we would do every night, is just spend time by the fire. And this was the only knife I used the whole time, batoning through everything, making everything to start the fire. I was being a cheater and using a lighter, so I wasn't using my fire steel that trip, but we were just camping for fun. So let me find a rock. We'll talk some more about it. All right, I gotta finish this up and hike out of here before it gets dark. We're losing daylight here, but the Benchmade Leuku, I keep wanting to call it the Puko because it's the big brother to the Puko. It's a knife I've been interested in for a while. If you've watched my first impressions or my unboxing of this knife, you'll see it's one that's kind of been on my radar. I almost got a Puko when they came out with that one, but didn't quite jump on it because I've already got a Tops Puko, and I really like that knife for kind of bushcraft style activities outdoors. It's a belt knife that I wear quite a bit. But when they came out with this one, basically the Puko but with a longer blade, I was really drawn to it. And I had some small reservations because I know Benchmade has had their foibles with heat treating 3V in the past, but it's been a while since all that happened, and I feel like I'm fairly certain I've seen that they've addressed it, and I'm kind of proving that to myself with this one. I have been downright abusive to this knife. My whole camping trip, I was like, I wanted to see if I could find a limit with it. So I was batoning stuff that was bigger than I should have been batoning, and I was just feather sticking like crazy, and I was chopping into stuff. We had a big stump in our campsite, not redwood, we were camping in the redwoods, but there was like a big stump someone had left there, and I even like threw this knife into it a couple of times. There were times that I missed and it bounced right off, and it's just, the tip is still perfect. The tip is as good as it was right when it came out of the box. The edge on this knife is still absolutely pristine. Like, there's no dull spot on here. There's no roll, there's no chip, there's nothing. And I've gone into knots of wood with it and just beat my way through. The spine, where I've been abusive with the stick I've been batoning through with, has just been, there's no deformation anywhere on here. It's scuffed on the surface in a bunch of places, but I bet if I got out a rag and like, I don't know, some Windex or something, or even I could use like some gun cleaner. I don't know what I'd use, but I could probably clean this blade pretty well to the point where it would be hard to tell that I've used it. And I've been abusive to it. And I'm really, really impressed with that. I like it so much. And I was expecting to enjoy it, but I wasn't expecting it to become what I think honestly is just going to be my new go-to belt knife. Another thing that's different too, this one is on, let me pivot you downwards so you can see. This one is on a dangler sheath, and I'm not usually, I've never experienced a dangler sheath before. That's never been a sheath style I've carried with, but on here, it took me a little getting used to, if I'm being honest. When I first threw this on in the campsite, it was weird that it was kind of dangling around a little bit, especially while I was hiking and stuff. But I got used to it pretty quick, and if I have it in just the right spot, when I'm just doing normal walking, it's not like totally swaying around too much. It stays pretty well put. And what's nice is it doesn't put it all the way up here to where it's like digging into me if I bend over or anything. It's nice and low and kind of out of the way, and then drawing it, it still comes out just fine while still having a great level of retention. The sheath itself doesn't feel like the nicest leather sheath I've ever experienced in my life, but it's good quality leather. I like that it's just black, and they've like lined the internals with like this little bit of plastic in here. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's nice that it's got that because it just keeps the form just perfect. So like even when the knife isn't in it, the sheath has a good amount of rigidity where it's holding its shape, and I like the sheath more than I thought I was going to as well. I still need to source a fire steel that'll fit in here. The one I have is too thick for it, but I'll do that because now I think this really is just going to be my go-to belt knife for when I'm hiking and when I'm camping, for sure. With how nice it was on my camping trip that I just got back from, there's no way I'm gonna not hike with this moving forward. It's such a good knife for it. And for all of the fire starting tasks, it was great. I had it on me while I was fishing, and it was like super helpful there if I had to cut a hook out, or like there were a couple fish that if you're using a 3-prong hook, I don't know if you're a fisherman or not, I'm actually not, but there were some times where like there would just be one that was borderline impossible to get out, so you just like make a little cut on the lip. And normally a giant big fixed blade like this I wouldn't be using for something like that. But this knife is really light, and because it's kind of a Puko style handle, it indexes really, really well, and I just feel like I get a lot of control over it compared to other fixed blades of this size. Also, just the balance of it, it's all very, I don't know, it feels really intuitive to me in hand, how neutral everything is, the amount of grip that I get from this rubbery handle that aesthetically, not my favorite handle ever, but in use, I've found I freaking adore this handle. It feels really good to grip down on hard, gives me a good amount of grip in any, like whether I'm hammer grip, saber grip, reverse grip, everywhere that I go on this knife, it feels so good and kind of locked in, and it's the right amount of roundness while still being kind of flat enough that I feel like I always know right where the edge is, but it's not blocky. I don't know, it's just, I'm floored by this knife. I'm really thrilled by how much I like it, and by how well this 3V is doing, because I was worried that I was going to find another instance of soft Benchmade 3V that just was rolling at every opportunity, and instead I found that I haven't been able to find the limits yet, and I really, really like that. When I can be mean to a piece of gear and it just smiles at it, it just loves that I'm doing it to it, I mean, it's really cool to me. So yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about the Benchmade Leuku. I'm somebody who owns quite a few fixed blades, and this is going to be the one, unless something comes along and dethrones it, this is going to be the one that is my go-to belt knife now. I'm still going to have my BGM on my pack. This wouldn't be right for that style of carry for me. And the BGM also wouldn't be the right style of carry for me for what I want in a belt knife. What I want in a belt knife right now is this. And I can't say enough good about it. It's just an exceptional fixed blade. And it surprises me that the Benchmade, or the fixed blade that I've found that really scratches the itch of what I want out of a fixed blade this well is a Benchmade. It's not where I would have expected it to come from, sincerely. And I'm glad that it did, because it makes me like Benchmade more, and I can be pretty critical of Benchmade sometimes, but I feel like they've been doing a few things lately that have really just gotten me excited about them. The Super Freak, the Mini Freak, the Super Mini Freak, whatever you want to call it, it's one of my favorite secondary carry knives that I own. And so for me to have one of my favorite secondary carry knives, like small EDC knives, and the Super Freak being one of my favorite primary knives to carry, and then to have my favorite belt knife fixed blade to come from them, I think that's cool. The Benchmade is doing some good things in my book now, and I credit where credit's due. So thanks again to River's Edge Cutlery for this awesome piece. They are always fantastic to deal with. Again, I'm going to link to their site down below. I'll link specifically to this knife on there as well, so you can see that. And if you have not bought from River's Edge Cutlery before and you're planning on buying a piece of gear, please, they've been some of my biggest supporters. They have a lot of links to my videos on their site. They're super communicative with me. They're a group of great, awesome dudes. Everyone I've talked to over there has just been phenomenal. I wish that they weren't across the country so I could just go in physically to their knife store and buy stuff all the time. But instead, I just order from them all the time. And they're always fast at shipping, always communicative, always fantastic to deal with. So, serious hat tip to them. I appreciate River's Edge Cutlery. Anyways, this has been the Benchmade Leuku. Thank you for checking it out with me. Hopefully it was fun to see me baton with it and stuff. I feel like I haven't been doing that very much lately, and I mean to do that more. So if you guys enjoy seeing the testing aspect of this kind of stuff, not that it's scientific, but if you guys enjoy seeing me use some of this gear, let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see more, because I like doing it, and I just need to time it better. A lot of the time I'm out here when it's too hot to sit around and chop for no reason, but nights like tonight when I'm coming out late in the evening, I can make it happen. Or if I start getting my butt up earlier, then I can make it happen early in the morning too, and it's a good excuse to do it. So let me know. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you on the next one.